You might not see it on the news, but the most powerful ghost in the sky is already awake. It doesn't roar, it doesn't warn, it just flies. And when it drops, it changes history. 6 of America's most secret weapons are now one command away from launching a strike that could shake the entire Middle East. This isn't just military strategy. This is a silent countdown. And when it hits 0, the world will know. The hidden countdown begins. On the surface, everything seems normal. The world keeps spinning. Markets are open. People are busy with their lives. The headlines mention politics, economics, even sports. But buried beneath all of it, something serious is building, quietly, dangerously, and fast. Right now, a silent crisis is growing between the United States and Iran. And this time, it's not just another political disagreement or a war of words. It's something much bigger, something that could change everything. Iran is getting very close to building a nuclear weapon. For years, Iran has claimed that its nuclear program is only for peaceful purposes. But the truth is hard to hide. Recent reports show that Iran has enriched uranium up to 84.5% purity. Only 90% is needed to create a working nuclear bomb. That means Iran is now just a few steps away, and the closer they get, the more serious the risk becomes. Because a nuclear Iran would not only shift power in the Middle East, it would force every nation around them to react. The world has seen what happens when nuclear weapons enter the picture. It's not just a military issue. It affects global oil prices, trade routes, and international security, and the consequences could last for generations. That's why the United States is not waiting. Without announcing it loudly, without flashing headlines, the U.S. has quietly deployed one of its most powerful military assets, 6 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. These aren't just any aircraft. The B-2 Spirit is known as the ghost of the sky. Why? Because it doesn't make noise. It doesn't show up on radar. It can fly thousands of miles without being detected. And when it drops its payload, it's already gone before anyone knows it was ever there. Each of these bombers is currently stationed at a hidden island base called Diego Garcia, a U.S. military stronghold in the Indian Ocean, far from Iranian missiles but close enough to strike at any moment. And they're not carrying light bombs. They're loaded with the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb designed to drill through 200 feet of concrete and rock to destroy underground nuclear facilities. Let that sink in. These weapons aren't meant for show. They're built for one thing: to destroy hidden nuclear labs buried under mountains. Iran's nuclear sites are not easy to reach. They've built them deep beneath the Elburz and Zagros mountain ranges, protected by blast doors, concrete, and tunnels. But these bombs were made for that exact challenge, and the B-2 was made to carry them. Now here's the part that makes this terrifying. These 6 bombers are not in motion, yet they're parked, waiting, fully fueled. Every pilot is trained, every route is mapped, every target is locked. They don't need weeks to prepare. They need just one command, and they'll be in the air within minutes. No sirens, no headlines, just takeoff and silence. It's not a loud threat, it's a quiet warning. Because when a ghost moves, it doesn't need to announce itself. Right now, this isn't a war, but it's the moment before something historic might happen. It's the breath before the strike, the silence before the blast, the ticking of a clock that no one can see, but everyone in power can feel. The countdown has begun, and no one, not even world leaders, knows how much time is left before the skies above Iran go completely dark, except for one ghost with a mission. Why Iran's nuclear program is a global alarm. At first, it might seem like a distant issue, a country far away, building a program that most people don't fully understand. But the truth is, Iran's nuclear progress affects the entire world. And right now, it's reaching a point that cannot be ignored. Iran says its nuclear program is peaceful, that it's for medicine, that it's for energy, that it's legal. But behind those words, the numbers tell a much different story. According to recent reports from international nuclear agencies, Iran has enriched uranium up to 84.5%, just a breath away from the 90% required to make a nuclear bomb. This isn't speculation. This is science. At 90% enrichment, uranium becomes what experts call weapons grade. And once a nation reaches that level, all it needs is the right assembly. And in weeks, not years, it can build a working nuclear warhead. Let that sink in for a moment. Just a few more turns of a centrifuge, and a nuclear weapon could be in the hands of one of the most controversial regimes in the Middle East. But why does that matter so much? Because a nuclear Iran wouldn't just affect Iran. It would set off a chain reaction around the world. Here's how. It would shift the balance of power in the Middle East. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the Gulf states have always tried to maintain some balance with Iran. But if Iran becomes nuclear, it changes everything. Suddenly, every disagreement becomes more dangerous. Every threat carries more weight. And every nation feels more pressure to build their own nuclear programs in response. To keep up. This means a nuclear arms race, not just between Iran and Israel, but across the entire region. It would threaten the world's oil supply. Most of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway near Iran. If Iran becomes nuclear, they gain more power to control or threaten that route. Even the idea of conflict in that area causes oil prices to skyrocket. And if you think that doesn't affect you, check your gas bill. One missile test, one airstrike, and gas prices could spike overnight. It would invite more conflict, not less. Some believe that nuclear weapons bring peace through fear. But with a regime like Iran's, the opposite could happen. Iran funds and arms powerful proxy groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. With nuclear protection, these groups might become bolder, more violent, believing they can act without consequence. Suddenly, what was once regional chaos becomes global instability. It would challenge the world's trust. The world already struggles with fairness and consistency. Some countries have nuclear weapons, some don't. Some face sanctions, some don't. If Iran crosses that line and nothing is done, the message to the world will be clear: rules don't matter anymore. If you can build it, you can have it. That's not just a security risk, that's a collapse of the entire system of international trust. And here's what makes all of this even more alarming. Time is running out. There's no longer a 10-year window. There's no longer space to debate if they'll reach 90%. They're almost there. And every day they continue, they move deeper into dangerous territory. And that's why the United States has quietly moved its bombers into position. Because the last time the world ignored warning signs, it paid the price. This isn't just a story about Iran. It's about what happens when power is unchecked. It's about how far one country is willing to go and how long the world can afford to wait. The alarm is ringing, loud, clear, and possibly for the last time. The ghost bomber, B-2 Spirit unleashed. It doesn't look like a monster. It doesn't roar. It doesn't shine, and it doesn't even show up on radar. But it's one of the most feared weapons the modern world has ever created. Its name? The B-2 Spirit. Nicknamed the Ghost of the Sky, the B-2 Spirit bomber is unlike anything else in the U.S. Air Force. It doesn't just fly, it vanishes. It doesn't warn, it strikes. And when it does so with terrifying precision. Let's break it down in simple terms. Stealth like you've never seen before. The B-2 isn't shaped like a normal plane. Its body is smooth, flat, shaped like a flying wing, designed to confuse radar signals. Even high-tech enemy radar systems struggle to spot it. To most defense systems, the B-2 looks smaller than a bird, or sometimes invisible. It's coated in special materials that absorb radar waves. It gives off almost no heat. It flies at altitudes where sound disappears. And it can sneak into the most protected airspace without setting off a single alarm. That's why they call it the ghost, because by the time you know it's coming, it's already gone. What it carries is even scarier. Now here's the part that truly makes it dangerous. It's not what the B-2 is, it's what it carries. Each B-2 can carry up to 40,000 pounds of deadly weapons. And for missions like the one being prepared right now, It's loaded with something called the GBU-57 MOP-, short for Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This bomb isn't designed to explode on the surface. It's built to go deep, very deep. Each bomb weighs 30,000 pounds, heavier than a school bus. It can penetrate through 200 feet of concrete or rock before it detonates. And that's just the first bomb. The US has trained its B-2s to drop multiple MOP bombs in sequence. The first one breaks the outer layer. The second one goes deeper, into tunnels, bunkers, nuclear labs. This isn't just a weapon. It's a bunker-destroying, mountain-cracking, earth-piercing machine. And each B-2 carries 2 of them. That means 6 B-2s equals 12 direct hits on some of the most secretive and protected facilities in the world. Why Diego Garcia matters. Right now, 6 B-2 bombers are stationed at a remote island base called Diego Garcia in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's isolated, it's protected, and most importantly, it's far away from enemy missiles, but close enough to reach any target inside Iran. Diego Garcia is a launch pad for missions the public will never hear about until after they're done. And when B-2s are moved there, it's not a drill. It's preparation for something real. What makes this deployment so serious? Deploying 1 or 2 B-2s might be seen as a message. Deploying 6 at once, that's a warning. A very real, very quiet, very serious warning. The US only has about 20 B-2s total, and by sending 6 of them to one location, they've committed 30% of their entire stealth bomber force to one region. That's not a training mission. That's not politics. That's military chess. And the next move could happen any moment. Why the enemy fears the B-2. What scares enemy nations most isn't just the B-2's power, it's the uncertainty. They never know when it's coming, they never know what it's targeting, they never know how to stop it. Air defenses struggle to see it. Even if they detect it, it's too late. And when the MOP hits, the ground shakes and everything below it is reduced to rubble. Iran knows this. Their generals know this. And every nuclear engineer working deep under the Zagros Mountains is now wondering if a ghost is already headed their way. Right now, the skies are still quiet, but the most dangerous aircraft on Earth is sitting on a runway. Engines ready, payload loaded. It won't give a warning, it won't make a sound. But if the order comes, the B-2 Spirit will rise. And by the time it returns to base, the world will have changed. If the world wakes up tomorrow to news of an American strike on Iran, it won't be a sudden decision. It won't be a surprise. It will be the quiet execution of a plan that's already built and already rehearsed. The United States doesn't send 6 B-2 Spirit bombers halfway across the world unless every detail has been calculated. This isn't guesswork. It's precision warfare, timed down to the minute. Let's break down how such a strike would unfold. Not in theory, but in reality. The silent launch. The clock begins ticking. At a remote US base on the island of Diego Garcia, long before sunrise, 6 B-2 Spirit bombers power up. No public alert, no media coverage, only military silence because secrecy is their greatest weapon. Each aircraft is loaded with 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, bombs strong enough to dig through 200 feet of reinforced concrete. The mission begins. They lift off silently into the dark skies over the Indian Ocean, heading toward Iranian airspace, over 2,300 miles away. No one in Iran sees them. No one hears them, because ghosts don't knock. As the B-2s glide forward in complete silence, they are not alone. From a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea, FA-18 Super Hornets are launched. They provide escort and air defense. Alongside them, EA-18G Growler aircraft lift off. These are electronic warfare jets, specifically designed to jam enemy radars, confuse tracking systems, and blind Iran's air defense network. Meanwhile, high above the Persian Gulf, KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft wait on standby, ready to give the B-2s a mid-air lifeline, ensuring they can fly deep, strike hard, and return safely. Every jet, every bomb, every radar jammer is already assigned to its role. There is no improvisation, Now the mission crosses into its most sensitive stage. Iran's powerful surface-to-air missile systems, like the Bavar 373 and the Russian S-300 PMU-2, are locked and scanning the sky. These systems are deadly, capable of shooting down most planes within 100 to 180 miles. But not the B-2. By flying low, hugging terrain, and staying completely invisible on radar, the B-2s bypass detection. At the same time, Growler aircraft jam radar frequencies across the region. Iran's systems begin to misread, showing fake targets, delayed responses, or total signal loss. Suddenly, what should be a clear defense system turns into a blind maze. By the time Iran realizes something is wrong, the B-2s are already overhead. Each B-2 breaks off from formation, heading toward its assigned target. These are not random buildings. They are deep, protected, and hardened facilities. Nuclear labs, enrichment plants, and underground missile silos. Many of them are buried beneath the Elburz and Zagros mountain ranges, reinforced with thick concrete, steel blast doors, and layers of bedrock. But the U.S. has built something to reach even that. From 20,000 feet above, each B-2 drops its first MOP bomb. It drills into the earth, smashing through defenses, burying itself deep inside. Then comes the second bomb. Guided by satellite, it follows the exact same path, slamming even deeper. The explosions are not loud on the surface, but beneath the earth, entire command centers vanish. Tunnels collapse. Centrifuges are destroyed. Missile stocks are turned to ash. What took years to build is erased in seconds. Hour 6 to 7, evacuation and withdrawal. As soon as the final bomb hits, the B-2s don't linger. They rise high into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. They fly west over Iraq, where refueling aircraft are waiting to help them return to base. FA-18s continue to shield their path. Growlers maintain jamming until the very last minute. Iran may launch missiles in return, but by then, it's too late. The targets are gone. The B-2s are already retreating, and there is nothing to hit but air. The aftermath. In one night with no warning, the United States could destroy years of Iranian nuclear progress. The loss wouldn't just be physical, it would be psychological. A message sent not only to Iran, but to every nation watching. And perhaps the scariest part? The entire operation would be over before the world wakes up. No tanks, no troops, no cities invaded, just shadows in the sky, and silence that follows an unstoppable force. Can Iran defend itself? This is the question every military analyst, government official, and ordinary citizen is quietly asking. If the U.S. strikes first, can Iran defend itself? The answer isn't simple, because while Iran is not helpless, the threat they're facing isn't ordinary. They're not up against tanks or fighter jets. They're up against a ghost in the sky, the B-2 Spirit, supported by the full might of America's stealth technology, electronic warfare, and precision bombing systems. Let's break down Iran's defenses, and then ask the most important question: will it be enough? Iran's air defense network. Strong on paper, Iran has spent decades building a web of air defense systems. They've studied American tactics. They've prepared for war in tunnels, mountains, and deserts, and they've heavily invested in anti-air weapons. Here are some of their most powerful tools: Bavar 373 air defense system, Iran's own version of the Russian S-300, can detect and intercept aircraft from over 180 miles away, designed to shoot down modern jets, drones, and missiles. Positioned near key cities, nuclear sites, and military bases. S-300 PMU-2, Russian supplied. One of the most advanced missile systems Iran owns. High-speed radar, multiple target engagement, can track up to 100 targets at once. Aimed to protect high-value zones like Fordow, Natanz, and Tehran. Mobile SAM launchers, hidden in forests, mountains, and underground silos, can be moved quickly after firing to avoid retaliation, paired with radar systems and missile trucks for rapid deployment. On the surface, this looks like a tough defense, but here's the problem. All of this depends on one thing: visibility, and the B-2 Spirit is built to take that away. What happens when you can't see the enemy? Iran's entire air defense system, from radar towers to missile launchers, is designed to detect incoming threats. But the B-2 Spirit doesn't show up on those systems. It absorbs radar, it flies low, it jams frequencies, it slips past defenses like smoke through fingers. Even if Iran's radar operators are fully alert, the B-2 will appear as a glitch, a ghost, or nothing at all. By the time a missile is launched, the bomber has already dropped its payload and is on the way out. You can't shoot what you can't see, and that's what makes the B-2 so terrifying. Iran's underground strategy, smart but vulnerable. Iran knows its skies are exposed. That's why they've built massive underground military bases. Nicknamed the Rocket Cities, these facilities are hidden deep beneath the Zagros and Elburz mountain ranges, fortified with 25-ton blast doors, multiple layers of steel-reinforced concrete, interconnected tunnels stretching for miles underground, caves carved into the mountain rock, protected by nature and engineering. These bases store missiles, drones, and possibly even parts of their nuclear program. They were designed to survive traditional bombings. But now they face something different. A bomb that doesn't explode on the surface. A bomb that dives hundreds of feet before it unleashes its fury. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator was made for one purpose: to break into the places you thought were safe. Jamming, refueling, and full-force coordination. Even if Iran were able to track a single B-2, that's only part of the fight, because behind the ghost is an entire army. EA-18G Growlers scramble signals and blind radar. FA-18 Super Hornets guard the skies, prepared to shoot down anything that chases the B-2. KC-135 Stratotankers refuel aircraft mid-air so they can stay in the fight longer. Satellites monitor every inch of ground, tracking movements in real time. Iran is good at hiding, but the US is better at finding. This isn't just a plane versus missile scenario. It's a multi-layered strike, combining stealth, speed, deception, and overwhelming force. What Iran might try to do in return? Iran still has options. They may not stop the B-2s, but they could still retaliate. Here's how. Iran has thousands of short and medium-range missiles. If attacked, they could launch salvos toward US bases in the region, or even toward Israel. Iran has a growing cyber warfare division. They may target US satellites, power grids, or communication systems. Iran funds powerful groups like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Shiite militias in Iraq. If struck, they could instruct these proxies to attack American allies or bases. But even if these moves hurt, they won't stop the immediate loss, because by then the nuclear sites will already be rubble, and the countdown already complete. So, can Iran defend itself? The honest answer? Not fully. They can resist, they can retaliate, they can delay and respond through other channels. But when it comes to stopping the B-2 Spirits, they don't have the tools. Their best bunkers are breakable, their best radars are blind, their best missiles are too slow. This isn't about who's stronger overall, it's about who controls the sky in the first 6 hours of war. And right now the US controls that sky, silently, completely, and without warning. We've reached the edge of the map. Two nations, both powerful, both determined, are standing face to face. One holds the world's most advanced bomber, the other stands one step away from a nuclear weapon. And now the question that echoes across military bases, presidential offices, and late-night newsrooms is simple. What happens next? Do we wake up to peace, or do we wake up to smoke? Right now in Oman, quiet negotiations are taking place between US representatives and Iranian officials. Not official peace talks, not handshakes, just whispers. Just attempts to see if either side is willing to blink. President Trump has made his message clear. Iran will not be allowed to build a nuclear weapon. And Iran's supreme leader has responded with his own message. We will not be threatened or controlled by the West. These two sentences may seem simple, but behind them are decades of mistrust, decades of conflict, and decades of fear that something irreversible could happen. The talks are fragile. Every word, every delay, every tweet could tip the scale. Here's what most people don't realize. When uranium enrichment reaches 84.5%, the timeline shrinks from years to weeks. Just a few more steps, and Iran can create its first working nuclear warhead. That's not speculation. That's a scientific reality, and that's why the US isn't bluffing. They've already moved 6 B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia, dozens of fighter jets into the region, naval strike groups into nearby waters, electronic jammers, refueling aircraft, surveillance satellites, all watching every move Iran makes. This isn't just posturing, it's preparation. The weapons are ready, the targets are mapped, and the mission is fully planned. What's missing? Just one trigger, just one refusal, just one broken negotiation, and everything changes. If Iran walks away from the table, if they continue to enrich uranium beyond the red line, if they begin assembling a warhead, the strike will happen. It will be quiet, fast, devastating. It will begin with black skies, no warning, just 6 B-2s rising from the Indian Ocean like ghosts. Within hours, Iran's nuclear labs will be gone, their mountain bunkers reduced to dust, their underground missile bases cracked open, their years of investment erased in one night, and it won't stop there. US allies like Israel, Saudi Arabia, the UK, France, and the UAE will be ready to defend or respond to retaliation. Iran may try to launch missiles, activate proxies, disrupt oil shipments, but it won't undo what's already lost. Right now, the entire globe is in a strange moment of stillness. Markets are waiting, leaders are watching, ordinary people are praying that reason wins over rage. Because this isn't just about Iran and America. If a war starts, it could collapse oil trade through the Strait of Hormuz, send gas prices skyrocketing around the world, drag in Russia, China, or Israel, destabilize the Middle East for another generation, trigger a nuclear arms race across the region. This isn't just war. This is a moment that could rewrite the future, and it all depends on what happens in the next few days, maybe even hours. Destruction or de-escalation? The choice is in Iran's hands. Step back, and diplomacy may still save the day. Step forward, and history may remember this as the day the countdown hit zero. Either way, the B-2 is watching. The sky is quiet, the ghost is ready, and when it moves, the world will know. This was not just politics. This was a line in history. Sometimes wars don't start with noise. Sometimes they begin with silence and the sound of a bomber's wings slicing through the dark. Will Iran back down? Or will history repeat itself with fire, steel, and smoke? Subscribe for updates, because if the B-2 moves again, the whole world will feel it.